Welcome back to Elden Ring. In this video we are going through the ultimate beginner guide. I'm going to be giving you tips and tricks on how to get into the game, understand the basics, and essentially just help you on your way to making progress in the game. So when you first start Elden Ring, you're going to come across this screen where you select your character class. As you progress through the game, you get into the late game, your class is going to be nowhere near as important. However, for someone just starting the game, some of the classes are going to be way more difficult to use. If you are looking for the true Elden Ring experience, I highly recommend using the Wretch, as you start off with the least and it's about finding your gear and setting the character up the way you want them to be. If you are looking for a fast attack, I would strongly recommend using the Samurai. Also, by using the Samurai, you can eventually dual wield Uchi Katanas, which is a very good setup. If you want to be more of a ranged character class, then I highly recommend the Astrologer. And then if you want an all-round good starting class, I would go with the Vagabond. However, in this guide, I'm going to be using the Bandit because I've got the least amount of time played, so I'm happy to delete that character. When you play Elden Ring, you can have up to 10 game saves, but only one with each character. So if you start as a Bandit, you play for 20 hours, and then you want to start again but you choose Bandit again, it will wipe that 20 hours of progress. If you start off the game, you put 20 hours in as the Bandit, then you start a game as the Astrologer, your Bandit game save is safe. So if we select Bandit, I'm going to go type A body, type A is male, type B is female. So with the name, I've literally just named it Bandit. And the age, you can choose any, it doesn't make a difference, it's just appearance. Origin is also going to let you change if you want to. So where you get to see the screen with all the different classes, that's not your final choice. You can see the stats on the right hand side next to the character. And on that previous screen, if you press Y on the Xbox controller, it will show you the button at the bottom. You can check all the attributes there. Now when you're picking your keepsake, there is quite a big list to go through, but I highly recommend starting with the Golden Seed. Then when you first get into the game, if you just head over to the right hand side, pick up the wizened finger, open this door, and this is where all the progress begins. So if we make our way down here and go across this bridge, you'll come to your very first boss fight. This boss fight isn't mandatory to win, don't worry if you die. In fact, people speedrunning, or like early after the game's release, I don't know if it's been patched or anything, people speedrunning would just jump themselves off the side. You can try fighting the Scion, you don't have to, but I'm going to let it quickly kill me. And there you go, that's where the game really begins. You can try that boss fight if you want, but as I said, it's not mandatory. Then when you come round, you will get your flask of Cerulean Tears and Crimson Tears. The blue ones are for your FP, the red ones are for your HP, so the red ones will give you your health back. Now when you start, you have the Cave of Knowledge. You can drop down here and you'll get some combat tutorials. I highly recommend, if you've never played Elden Ring before, you haven't played a Souls game or anything like that, I highly recommend going down there, going through the tutorials and understanding the game. However, because I've played the game quite a lot, I've got well over 500 hours in this game, what we're going to do is just make progress. The Cave of Knowledge will lead you back to here anyway. So when we get through these doors, you're going to come to your first ever Site of Grace. If we interact with this, it's basically a checkpoint. These are located all over the map. And when you rest, it's going to reset the enemies, it's going to bring your health up and everything like that. Then if we go into the flasks, this is why you choose the Golden Seed, because it lets you increase the number of flask uses. Another thing to pay attention to is your flask charges. Depending on your character, if you're using the Astrologer, I'd give a couple of blue flasks. Whereas if you're using a character like the Samurai, I would just go for your health, like have a couple of FP ones there, but I'd mainly focus on the health. So definitely allocate the charges. Give it a good balance based on your character, then later in the game you'll be able to increase the amount that's replenished. If you want any other tips as you're progressing further into the game, there are lots and lots of videos all in a playlist on the channel. I think I've covered just about everything there is to this game. Then once you leave the Site of Grace, if we just come over here and pick this up, the furled finger is going to sort out the multiplayer side of things. The multiplayer isn't a traditional multiplayer. It's based on boss fights and things like that. However, if you're on PC, there is a seamless co-op mod that I believe lets you play with about 5 people, and that's from start to finish. So, when you first make it to Limgrave, if you come over to the Site of Grace, unlock that checkpoint, and this is the first NPC, and I want to point this NPC out. This is White-Faced Var. Do not attack him, because he will mess you up. He will also be used to unlock the best rune farm in the game as you progress through. So don't attack him, he will aggro you for a very, very long time. And every time you respawn, he will aggro you again. He will not leave you alone, and it's just going to ruin your experience. So don't attack poor Whiteface. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to ignore the Golden Sentinel over there. And we're going to run over here. You can sprint by holding down your combat roll button. So on the Xbox controller, that's B. Hold it down, you can sprint. And you won't have any stamina unless you're in combat. If you're in combat, your stamina will start running out. But what you want to do is come over to this church here. Go inside and grab the Site of Grace. All you need to do is touch them to unlock the checkpoint. You don't have to visit, or you don't have to rest at every single one. Then you have a merchant over there in the corner. But if we ignore this and we come up to this path here, we're going to ignore all of the enemies on our way. They're probably going to start chasing us. But what we're going to do is go and grab our very first map fragment. So there'll be a lot of tooltips that pop up and they help you as you're making progress through the game. But just follow this path heading all the way north. Then when you get here, if you see above my character's head at the end, there's like this little statue. That's going to be where the map fragment is, and it unlocks the map for you to see. So it'll unlock that section of the map. But aggro has started with these enemies, so this is Limgrave West. And because of that, I need to unlock this Site of Grace up here, whilst not getting hit. Then I need to rest and it will reset the enemy so they'll leave me alone. I might get enough time if we're quick. There we go. So because I've just sat down and rested at the Site of Grace, the enemies will leave me alone. But the very first time, you're going to be put into a cutscene. If we skip the cutscene and we go through the dialogue, at the end of the dialogue, if we just spam it, you are going to get the Spectral Steed Whistle. So you now have your mount. So if you leave here, straight away go to your map and you're going to fast travel back to the Church of Ella. Once you get back here, as long as you've done it straight away, you'll see this spirit sat on the wall. If you talk to the spirit, and if you say, I don't think it matters with this choice, but if I'm just going to say I can call the Spectral Steed, then you're going to get your Spirit Calling Bell, and you're going to get the Lone Wolf Ashes. So now you've got your very first summon. If you don't come back to the Church of Ella as soon as you've got Torrent, which is your Spectral Steed or your mount, if you don't come back here straight away, this spirit will not be sat on the wall, so you'll miss out on getting Lone Wolf Ashes. However, when you make it to the Round Table Hold, once you've made progress, you can go to the Twin Maiden Husks and you can purchase the Lone Wolf Ashes and the Spirit Calling Bell from there. But it's just easier, it saves you time to come straight back here. It's just a simple fast travel as soon as you've got your mount. So what I've done from the Church of Ella is fast travel straight back to Gatefront Ruins. Then if you pause the game and you come to your pouch, you can see the directional buttons, so essentially your D-pad. If you press Y and you switch, you can click on your Spectral Steed Whistle, and then if you hold down Y, press down on your D-pad. Obviously the buttons are going to be different on like PC or PlayStation, but then you can call your mount. So from here, what I would recommend, if you like click the left stick in, you jump off your mount. But then if you hold down B, so again your combat roll button, you're going to sprint. And you're going to get little dashes if you like basically spam it. But make your way west up this hill. You don't have to attack the enemies at all. And when you get to the top on the right hand side, you are going to have a golden seed sat by the tree. And then if we jump up here, you will get ambushed by wolves if you're on the path. But if you jump up here, there's another site of grace. So that's another checkpoint. And then there's other goodies and stuff here. You can see the wolf right there. But if we reset the enemies, then we jump up here. You're going to get a stone sword key. They will come in handy, but then if you come in here, there's going to be a body. There's someone sat down here. And if you talk to this person 3 times, on the second time you'll get nothing. On the third time you'll get the spirit jellyfish ashes. So you've now got 2 summons if you went to the Church of Ella. A really good update they did was adding icons to the map. So you can see Heartbroken Maiden there. But as you're making progress through the game and you're looking for merchants and stuff, you'll see there like Finger Reader Crone. So the same way you did your mount, if you select one of your ashes in your pouch, if you look on the left hand side of the screen, you're going to see like a spirit gate. That means you're in an area where you're able to summon. So if I hold down Y and I press left, it uses quite a lot of FP, but now we have our lone wolves. So if we get some aggro, enemy's going to start on us, then our lone wolves are going to start on the enemy. If you click in your right stick, you can lock onto a certain enemy. And then your right bumper is going to be quick attacks. And your right trigger will be heavy attacks. So the heavy attacks will deal more damage. And this game is all about timing. If you can time your attacks, you're going to have a much better time. If you can time evasion, you're going to have a much better time. It's all about basically mastering the attacks in the game. But if you have a look behind this enemy, there is a caravan, and inside the caravan, or on the back of it, there's a chest. And if you pick that up, you'll get yourself a greatsword. But you do have a weight system, and there's quite a lot of other things in the game that might stop you using different weapons. So if you have a look here, you've got the great knife, it's a dagger, and you will see the attributes required in the middle of the screen, like bottom right of that section. 6 strength and 12 dexterity. If you have a look at the Lord Sworn's greatsword, you need to have 16 strength in order to use it, so you're going to need to level up. If you have a look on the far right hand side, my strength is only 9, so I need another 7 levels in strength. In order to level up in this game, you need to visit a site of grace, but you need runes. Runes is the currency in this game. If you die, you'll lose your runes, and you have 1 chance to go and pick them up. If you die again on your way, they're gone forever. So if we go to flasks, we add another charge with the golden seed we picked up from Storm Hill. And you'll see here that you are able to level up. Again, there's tooltips and stuff to help you out. But you'll see the stats that are going to be affected when you hover over each of the attribute points. So Vigor will give you extra health. Mind will give you extra FP. Endurance is stamina and max equip load. Strength is to do with the attack power of your armaments. Dexterity is also going to do the same thing. So on and so forth. So what you need to do to get runes is you need to kill enemies. You can farm runes as you make progress in the game. There's lots of different rune farms available. But if you look at the bottom right, I've got 67 runes. So what I'm going to do is summon my lone wolves. We're going to come and annoy this guy. And there you go. If you're lucky, you'll get some loot drop off them as well. But you'll see we went from 67 up to 131. You can farm enemies. You can just reset that same guy over and over again and keep killing him. However, the more you level up, the more expensive the levels become in terms of runes. So it's all about just doing that, making progress, exploring more of the map, unlocking the round table hold. This map does get pretty big. There's an underground section and everything like that. As I said, there are plenty of other videos on the channel that will help you out with this game. But that was tips and tricks or a beginner's guide for Elden Ring. That is going to wrap up this video. Check out this video if you want to see other content on the channel. I will see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.